All right, everybody, part 2 of the question and answers. I got another 3.5 pages or so, another 22 questions, so I'm going to jump right in. Fatigue as a symptom imperative. Somebody said a coach suggested not to push through. A fatigue coach suggested that they not push through. But how do we show the fatigue, or TMS, who's boss if we give in? So there's absolutely a balance there. Fear has a lot to do with it. TMS, stress, the autonomic nervous system. I'm not a real expert on fatigue, but I do believe it is TMS. I do believe that the brain, in my very non-scientific way, says life's too intense, take a nap. And if we push, and ignore the signs that your body is saying, rest, you need rest, we can have a crash, so to speak. At the same time, observing your thoughts, learning to realize that all of this stress, not all, but a lot of the stress, is created based on our thinking. So if you can calm down your thinking, we can calm down the anxiety, and we can calm down the stress. The autonomic nervous system can start to regulate and do better. Somebody's asking me for a step-by-step how to get through a bad day. I don't remember if I covered this or not. I don't believe I did yesterday or in the other Q&A video, but there is no step-by-step. For me, it was a matter of survival. And, all of the concepts I teach about the mindset and not freaking out about our pain absolutely applies to the bad days. Some people are like, well, I shouldn't be taking a pain pill. Well, look, some days are about survival, and you do what you got to do, and you don't chastise yourself, and you don't beat yourself up. And you're very clear that, hey, this is for temporary relief because I love myself and I want to get through this day as best as possible. I want to be able to shift my focus to my emotional world while I'm having a bad day. And if I can take the edge off the pain a little bit with some over-the-counter or even a prescription pain med, so be it. The goal here is not to beat yourself up and be so rigid and so perfect with trying to heal yourself that you end up making things worse because you're now disappointed with how you're healing yourself, when in fact a lot of the TMS might be there because of our strict perfectionism. Anyway, somebody asked, can I do physical therapy, core exercises, because they've got sciatica? Well, I had this thing that doctors called sciatica for much of my 13 years of pain. Sciatica is TMS. TMS is created in the brain. If you want to do core exercises because you like your stomach to be firm and you want to exercise for the sake of exercising, great. But the fact that you mentioned you have sciatica in the same question leads me to believe that you are convinced that a strong core will help your pain. And that's absolutely not proven. I don't believe that at all. I've got no pain, but yet I don't do sit-ups or core exercises, and I haven't for the past 10 years. So our core is plenty strong to support our bodies without pain. So if you like exercising, do it for the sake of exercising. Don't do it because you've got TMS pain. That'll probably just confuse the brain. Neuropathy of the legs and pelvis. And double question. This lady said she found herself holding her breath. And isn't that weird because breathing is normal? Well, it's all the fear response. It's all the stress response. When we're under stress and afraid, we sometimes, and we hold, right? That's the freeze response, part of the stress response, which is fight, flight, or freeze. The holding your breath could be part of the freeze response of the stress response. As far as neuropathy of the legs and pelvis, I will caution you against labels like neuropathy, because that holds authority. Those names are scary and sound like there's a disease or a damage problem. And, neuropathy is sometimes a word thrown around pretty easily in the medical community, just simply based on your description of the symptoms and where it hurts. Yes, there are nerve conduction tests and is everything working right from a neurological standpoint. If you haven't had that done, go get it done so you understand if there is a true problem with the nerve signals. But the presence of pain, in my opinion, does not equate to neuropathy and or a damage problem, right? Despite what the MRIs say, a lot of these MRIs, what you're seeing is normal abnormalities. Okay, onward we go. Mindful awareness, somatic tracking. I'm not a somatic expert. I do talk about awareness a lot, awareness of our thoughts, sitting with our feelings, that open house for the emotions, allow them to come in, allow them to sit with you, be with the emotions, be with the thoughts. Thoughts have no meaning either. Emotions don't have any meanings, thoughts don't have any meanings. They pass. They're like water coming down a stream or a river. They pass. So, I can't really tell you. I never used any somatic tracking exercises or processes to heal myself. But becoming aware of my thoughts and choosing not to give a crap if I hurt or not, and I was going to go live my life anyway, really helped me reduce the fear and the anxiety surrounding the pain. And when I did that, I was able to shift my focus away from it much easier. In neuroplasticity, brain science, when you're not focused on something all day long, the brain goes, oh, I don't need those connections. So how to become more active without the fear, or how not to react when you get symptoms, when you try and become active. So I've talked about this stuff. The nocebo effect. We're afraid of moving our bodies again. And what we expect, we get. How? That's that predictive coding video. Go watch it. Remember, YouTube, my Pain For You channel, and then use a magnifying glass. Look for predictive coding. Look up nocebo. You will find videos in these areas. But basically, if you expect to hurt and you're fearful of hurting when you are going to go move your body more, inevitably the brain's going to create that. So we've got to change our expectation. How? Through our language. Talk to ourselves. Remind ourselves we're fine. And even if it hurts, say, whatever. I'm not damaged. There's no structural problem. I am not creating structural problems by moving, so I'm going to move anyway, despite the discomfort. So pain interfering with sleep. And how do we keep cool about that? Look, I understand it can be extremely frustrating when we're woken up from the pain. And some of it is, what are the expectations you're going to bed with? I mean, when you lay down to sleep, or you go, boy, I hope I don't wake up with pain in the middle of the night. Is there fear? Is there the anxiety about that happening? Because we can be predicting it and setting ourselves up for it. And look, if it does happen, sometimes we can't control it. But if it does happen, the only thing we can control is how we react to it. We can go, oh, here we go again. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that interesting? Or we can go, son of a bitch, this effing pain has woken me up again. Right? One of them will allow you to get back to sleep a little bit easier, which is the peaceful. All right, yeah, the pain just woke me up. I'm going to focus on gratitude. The roof hasn't caved in on me yet. Right? And then just, another thing, go to YouTube, Pain For You channel, search for Better Than Affirmations. And it's a video called Afformations. And basically, why is it so easy to fall back asleep? Why is it so easy to sleep through the night? Why is it so easy to not let this bother me when I do wake up with pain? Right? I roll over, I get comfortable again. Why is it so easy to fall back asleep? Right? That Afformations video will be useful for you. So it's called Better Than Affirmations. And it's a little thought trick to get your brain working for you for something that supports you, instead of letting negative questions like, how come I can't go back to sleep? You're asking your brain to deliver every single reason, and it will come up with 50,000 reasons why you can't fall back asleep. Anyway, depersonalization, derealization, feeling numb. I believe, and I have not personally experienced this, so this is coming from interactions with other people who have dealt with this, but I believe it's absolutely yet another result of too much stress, TMS. It's when the brain says, this is too intense, I'm going to check out, right? And I just talked to somebody who was going through that recently, was out at a grocery store, and he was checking out. He was kind of floating, not with it. And I think that's just a coping mechanism that the brain utilizes to say, things are too intense and I'm going to check out a little bit. So look to turn down the volume on your stress. Observe your thoughts without judgment. They're just thoughts, right? We don't have to do anything. We don't have to fix them. Just observe them. Somebody brought up timing of the pain or symptoms, and that twice daily at predictable times, this person gets the same symptoms, always worse at these times, or on two of the 7 days a week. So basically, their pain is on a schedule. They expect it, they get it. It may correlate with their stress levels at those times. Somebody I know was pretty good on Saturdays, but Sunday, late in the day, pain started coming back. Why? It's pretty obvious. Work day tomorrow. Getting stressed about that. Getting stressed about working with pain tomorrow. Right? Whereas Saturday, it was like, I got the weekend. Beautiful. Perfect. Right? And Friday nights, things settle down. So there are definitely patterns. Locations can absolutely impact it. I worked with somebody who really had the massive pain at home, but when she was out at work, she felt pretty good, which didn't make sense because she was a lot more active at work. But it did when you realize, as a newly divorced person, she felt most alone at home. And therefore, when she was home, she had the most amount of pain. Why? Because the brain said, you're home, you're in this place where you're most alone, and you need this distraction. So we're going to make sure you don't start thinking about all of these feelings of loneliness, failure for a failed marriage, etc., which this lady had experienced. So here's a 4-part question. What are the signs that the healing process is working? Do you wake up in the morning when it's gone? When you look for the pain, you can't find it? Does the pain reduce in intensity? And do the pain-free hours in a day increase day by day? And the answer is sometimes. Sometimes we wake up and the pain's not gone. Sometimes when you look for the pain, it's not there. Sometimes the pain reduces in intensity, and sometimes we have longer and longer stretches of pain-free time. I think, honestly, the healing process is really working when you stop looking for a direct answer to these level of questions on exactly how healing will happen. Because if you really don't give a crap how it happens, you just know it's going to, and over time it's just going to get better and better, and you're not monitoring it and managing it and checking off boxes to say, yep, I looked for the pain and it wasn't there. I'm on my way. Check. The pain's reduced in intensity. Check. Right? We can definitely overthink it, and by over monitoring the pain and how well we're doing in the healing process, you absolutely can keep it persistent a lot longer than it needs to be. And Steve Ozanich, the number one mistake people make is trying to heal. There's nothing to heal, guys. There's no problem with your body. We just need to learn that we're okay. So somebody asked for me to talk about how much energy being in pain takes from us each day. This person sleeps 10 plus hours a day and even takes naps. And kind of questioning, I know it's healing for the body and mind, but wasn't expecting it to last this long. Back to the fatigue questions, go to YouTube, Pain For You channel, search for fatigue. I think when the brain feels that there's a lot of danger and life's pretty intense, the brain says, go rest. When you're sleeping, it's nice and peaceful. Life's too intense, take a nap, right? And so how do you calm down the nervous system so that the brain doesn't feel you are in danger all the time? Become aware of your thoughts. I do say choose the thoughts that support you. You can reject or swipe left on the ones that don't. support you. But even less proactive is to just observe thoughts, and if a stressful thought comes into your mind, let it pass. It's just a thought. It has no meaning. So I think that will be very useful for many of us to say, a thought is just a thought, has no meaning, just like emotions have no meaning, right? And if we are constantly assuming that every thought we have is fact and we must act on it, we're gonna be a very stressed out person. So learn to be aware of your thoughts and just observe them, as opposed to feeling like you've got to fix them or act on them or do something with them. So, somebody was asking, how can I find out if a pain or symptom is structural if it means laparoscopic surgery? Sorry, not a medical doctor here. But, the surgery where they go in. And she's afraid of the surgery as well, worried she'll develop symptoms as a result of the surgery. But she suspects that this particular symptom, which is unnamed or undescribed, and it's the only symptom that she's been unable to resolve through this TMS work. So I guess my question is, it sounds like the doctors have ruled out anything life-threatening. And I don't know what this symptom is, but have you done the assessments surrounding this symptom? Have you evaluated, is this symptom characteristic of TMS? Is it better with heat or ice or increased blood flow with movement? Is it worse in higher times of stress? Is it better in lower times of stress? Did the history of this come about at a high time of stress in your life? There are characteristics that we can use to rule in TMS. Go to the Pain for You group, and at the top there is a post that says, unsure if you have TMS? And then see more and you'll read. There's a series of 3 different assessments. I would suggest to this person, go through each of these assessments as it results, or as it relates to this one stubborn symptom. The other thing I will say is, what are your beliefs around it? Do you believe that you can resolve this? Well, 6 years is proof that you can't. But have you decided that that's accurate and that there must be something physical or structural going on, and you have been told by the doctors that the only way to really rule out whether or not this is a problem is through this laparoscopic, something like that, the surgery to look inside. What's the nocebo's effect on this? Are you fearful that this can't be fixed? What's your belief that you can't kick this particular symptom? A lot of these things tie together. So I'm not a big proponent of doing invasive surgery to just look at the body. You've ruled out the life-threatening, I'm assuming. Now rule in TMS. If you're still on the fence about it, maybe reach out to one of the PPD Association doctors like Dr. Schubner or Clark or Schechter and say, hey, what do you guys think? To my knowledge, they're very accessible. So there's another question about where stress has no end in sight. In other words, you live in a very stressful environment, taking care of somebody with chronic health issues, taking care of a sick mother 24/7, must be a ton of daily rage on a daily basis, some financial stress that won't be resolved anytime soon. Is simply knowing that the symptoms are from the stress enough to get rid of them? Or do you need to feel that anger or fear or whatever the emotion is daily? So in that case, the knowledge that stress and these negative emotions about those situations, that can be enough for some people. But what's the harm in actually recognizing, boy, my sick mother, I've been taking care of her, and it's enraging, it's infuriating. What's wrong with doing that daily check-in emotionally? I think if you get the knowledge right and decide that this stress does not have to equal permanent pain until I'm out of the stress, you have to decide that you can be okay physically without any symptoms, even though your money situation is not getting better. So what? There's a lot of poor people without pain. I think a lot of it is what we think about these situations, what we think about the aging mother that requires your 24/7 care, what we think about the money problem. I think that's more indicative of whether or not we're going to still be symptomatic than the actual stress or the emotions themselves. So look, feel your emotions, recognize that stressful situations don't equal pain. And look, I still have plenty of stress. Some of it self-imposed by writing this book and trying to get out here and serve this community. A lot of stress, and I'm basically working 2 full-time jobs. One is my regular business, one is helping all you guys out. Lots of stress, lots of really long days, but I'm not hurting. So, we can be under stress and not hurt, and that's 10 years of life for me. And I got rid of my pain in the middle of my marriage falling apart, and my divorce happened afterwards, and the pain didn't come back as a result of the divorce. Anyway, enough on that. There's no real question here. Not sure I'm going to dedicate the time here, but this person was just kind of reiterating how the medical system is designed to, I guess, serve people who want a quick fix. And I'll just point you to the medicalization video on YouTube. Go look for that. That's where I talk about this. But since there wasn't really a question there, I'm not going to read her long statement about this. Somebody asked about rewiring neural pathways. And if I don't think about the pain, what do I think about? Been trying to even get songs to stick in my head to replace the thoughts about the pain, but the pain thoughts tend to keep coming back. And so what do? Nothing seems to grab my attention like the pain does. So look, I say be indifferent about the pain. I never say ignore the pain, because that's virtually impossible, and I don't want to set a standard for you that's unattainable. So look, if a thought about pain comes up, you can go, all right, it's there. And recognize that anybody would be aware of the pain, especially when it's screaming at you. But you can choose your response and say, okay, so there's a pain thought. So what? Watch it drift by, right? Because if we get angry that we're thinking about the pain and, oh, I'm not doing this right, you're just spending more time and emotional energy on the pain. So learn to just take it very matter-of-factly. Yeah, I'm noticing my pain. Yeah, I guess everybody would notice that. Okay, so what? What was I wanting to do or needing to do? And I say, try to resume living your life. Try to imagine, hey, what am I going to do when this pain is not here at all? If that thought terrifies you because you have no clue who you're going to be without your pain, it's possible some of us, not you, but some of us may need our pain. I think Nicole Sachs did a podcast on it. Why do we need our pain, and why are some of us not willing to let go of it? If you say to yourself, I don't know who I am without it, I've had it so long, might be time to start just thinking about, well, what would I do? How would I spend my life once the pain's gone? So, let's see. Yeah, that's that page. One more page left. Try to get it done. Not being able to get to work. It's just that expectation that I'm not capable of working. Pain's going to be too bad. What if it gets really bad and I get fired? And, it's not that the work is terrifying. It's the thinking about the work that is terrifying. And if you are ever too scared to do something, ask yourself if that something is really dangerous, or are you thinking about it in such a way that you're scaring or terrifying yourself? This one person says, I had a lot of success in getting rid of nerve pain. See, it's possible, but not so much the digestive or intestinal pain and pain with bowel movements. So, stress suppresses the immune system and the digestive system. It will sometimes amplify and turn up the volume on the autonomic nervous system, but as it relates to the digestive and immune systems, it suppresses it. It holds it down, which basically means digestion and immune system function is not at a peak. So if you start to realize that the digestive problems that are being a little bit trickier to eliminate are as a result of too much stress, it becomes plain and simple to see stressing out about these digestive challenges will just compound things and make it worse. So try not to stress about a stress-induced, disorder, right? Bring your stress level down. Somebody says, unable to let go of the belief that I have both TMS and a physical reason for my 10-year journey with pelvic pain and lower back pain. So, to the last point, why are you holding on to the pain? Is there some reason you need it? Who will you be without it? But it all gets down to knowledge, understanding TMS deeply. What is it? What's its purpose? We have normal abnormalities. I don't really know why this person's holding on to the belief that it's both TMS and physical. Do they have proof? Maybe they've got an image. Maybe they can't let go of the thought that, well, I've got a bulging disc and I was told it's pressing on whatever. Right? Normal abnormalities. Do the assessment. Right? Clearly it's not life-threatening, but do the assessment. That's how we rule in TMS. Right? And by default, that's how we rule out something structural. Acid reflux, heartburn, same exact thing. Suppressed digestive system can create reflux and heartburn, so nothing more to say there. How do I get in touch with repressed emotions? If they're repressed, how do I reach them? Or how do I even know if I'm repressing emotions? Well, I guess to my degree, or to my belief, if you're human, you probably repress certain emotions. Even if they're not subconsciously repressed through an automatic program that I've talked about before, it's very possible we are pushing them or resisting them, and that could mean we're just not dealing with them. The goal of any of these emotional discovery processes is to simply feel them and allow them to pass. So, 4-part question. Why do symptoms flare up? Is this a good sign? Is it okay sometimes to speak out loud instead of journaling? Let me deal with this. Why do some symptoms flare up? And is it a good sign? Well, why is because we're human beings and our stress levels, our emotions, the need for the distraction might ramp up sometimes. Is it a good sign? It can be. It might not be. Doesn't matter. The symptoms don't matter. What they're doing doesn't matter. Become indifferent towards them. Feel your emotions, and you're good. Is it okay to speak out loud instead of writing? Doesn't matter. Whatever one allows you to feel your emotions. Is there an average recovery time? Has that ever been established? Nope. Everybody's different. Have I heard of people getting pain in surgical areas years later? I have heard of that. I think doctors like Dr. Schubner say that the brain has a memory for past pain locations, or, will locate the pain in a location of a past injury, like an old high school football injury. Why? Because the brain knows that will get their attention. All right, do I have a podcast? Not yet, but that's coming this year. I've already invested in some equipment to record those podcasts, and I think once the book is out, that podcast is going to launch. I've got a list of like 50 people I want to interview. I want to get a lot of you folks on the podcast as well, sharing success stories. So yes, that's coming. How to handle fear and anxiety concerning real physical danger like surgery. Look, we got to become aware of our thoughts about the surgery. And is it the thoughts about the surgery that's freaking us out? Because I know so many people that will fear surgery, and then once they get through it, they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I was knocked out. The pain meds were good afterwards. Recovery wasn't nearly as bad as I had made it out to be. Also realize not all thoughts and fearful thoughts are true. Sometimes we can blow them out of proportion. Getting back to the workforce belief, nocebo. Same stuff. All right. And Dan, I'm reading Healing Back Pain. I've realized in the last day that a couple of childhood memories caused my repression of anger. I also know of a childhood memory or similar memories later in life, 24 and 40 years old, that caused my fear of rejection and abandonment. Maybe you could do a video addressing the issues of the necessity to directly address and work through these specific issues and memories, or just acknowledging them is enough to be able to heal your TMS. So I think knowledge of TMS, knowledge of the connection between our emotions and our symptoms is often enough. I don't believe it's required to go through and work through these past issues or challenges. There are whole industries of people with trauma processing and psychotherapy and early childhood therapy and all sorts of processes to quote-unquote work through these past experiences. I'm not a big fan of rehashing over and over and over again all of these past experiences. If the past experiences are not haunting you today and causing real emotions right now, I don't know that it's worth revisiting them over and over and again. Recognize, yes, that was traumatic. It was scary, dangerous, made me sad, hurt my feelings, whatever. I get it. Get the lesson. What was the lesson from that experience? And then allow yourself to let it go. Revisiting these past stories can kind of reactivate these things. So I don't even know what it means to work through these issues. By choosing to stay present and not watch all the bad stuff that's ever happened, these things kind of start to dissipate anyway. There are people that do kind of like reprocessing of past memories and say, well, every time you think of a past memory, instead, how about you say, all right, that's not helpful, but I was 5 at the time. Do I have any memories of being happy at the time? Oh yeah, 5-year-old birthday party. I remember, got this cool thing. Whatever it may be. Yeah, there may be ways of doing all that stuff. I'm a big right now person. Right now, be aware of your thoughts. Don't judge the thoughts. Don't feel like you got to do anything or fix something. You're not broken and you're not lacking anything. So I don't believe we need to do a lot to get better. The understanding that we're already well goes a long way. And then when you can do some right now, what emotion am I feeling, like what's going on now, that kind of keeps that pressure cooker from building up and blowing up and causing the need for the distraction. So just continually, right now, what am I feeling? Feel the emotions, whether you journal it, whether you verbal journal, whether you sit with it and observe. I think that's important. The mindset is, in my opinion, one of the most important components here, because if you can get that attitude of indifference, you're not going to spend all your day focused on the pain, in which case the brain can let go of those neural connections. Awareness, where are you spending your day in here? Are you spending it in a horror movie theater? Or are you spending it just kind of being aware of, well, that was a messed up thought, but that one was kind of cool. And if we just allow the messed up thoughts to pass and the fearful ones just pass, guess what? You'll start to notice more and more that the more positive or uplifting or possibility type of thoughts come along. But if we're so stuck in the negative thoughts and feeling like we have to get rid of them, and I'm feeling anxious and I got to fix that, we can get lost in these thoughts when we don't really need to. So, what do you guys think? Hopefully this was helpful. 34 minutes. I got to stop this video. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all your questions. I will not be doing a part 3. Going to wrap this one up. Got a couple of more videos queued up. Going to try to get a couple of more queued up over the next day or so. And I appreciate you. So thanks for watching. Love you guys and gals. You can get better. All right, see ya.